Clemson football fans, regardless of what the calendar says, spring football is the date that you care about, and it is here. We got Jason Priester here as well, allclemsontigers.com, breaking down Clemson football, baseball, basketball. He does it all, but we pull him in for the football analysis, of course. Check out the previous videos we've got on quarterbacks, running backs, and we are going to carry you through the offense and the defense. Jason, what's going on today?
Busy day, man. Busy day. Busy day.
Well, I'm going to add to it for you. We've got the wide receivers we're going to look at here with Bo Collins on his way to Notre Dame. He caught about 50 passes last year, but set us up for what you think this depth chart's going to look like this year.
You know, wide receiver play has kind of been a point of contention over the past 3-4 seasons, and I think this is a big spring for some of those guys in that room. Biggest thing probably with spring practice starting is that all those guys are healthy, all of them, as far as I know. Last year when you started spring practice, I think Clemson had 3 scholarship guys available. The rest were held out for various reasons, injuries, and, you know, they have just been beat up when it comes to the wide receiver room, you know, going back a number of years. You lose Bo Collins, but you got guys like Troy Stelato's back. Antonio Williams is back. Tyler Brown, who really had a breakout season as a freshman last year, is back. And then you have these 2 dynamic freshmen coming in. One's already here in Bryant Wesco. The other won't be here until the fall, so he's not going to be here for spring practice, obviously. But Bryant Wesco is a guy that's probably going to get a lot of attention during the spring. He looks, you know, he was a guy that probably needed to add a little bit of bulk before the season starts. And by all accounts, he's already added some. It looks like he's added well over 10 pounds, and he's probably pushing 190 or something like that now, if I'm remembering right. But he's a guy that can bring some explosiveness back to this offense, because I thought Clemson got to a point last year where they just really quit trying to push the ball down the field. They just haven't had one of those true boundary guys. They've lacked, you know, really elite speed or what looks like elite football speed to me. I know Stellato is a fast guy. Tyler Brown's a fast guy, you know, but sometimes it doesn't look like it always translates to the field. Bryant Wesco is a guy that's got elite speed, man. He can stretch the field. He can get over the top, beat you over the top. This looks like maybe Clemson's best group of wide receivers in the past few years. But, you know, you don't ever know until those guys get here and you actually see it on the field. So it'll be a big spring for Wesco and see if he can carve out a role for somewhere for himself in this offense, because Clemson's really lacked having that true boundary guy. And I think him and Moore both fit that, you know, mold.
So, Jason, back to Tyler Brown here. When he started catching passes last season, that took me by surprise. I don't know the personnel like you do, but he wasn't a guy that was on my radar that I was expecting to be a major factor. So, number one, was that a big surprise to people? Number two, is there still a ceiling there, or is he pretty much what he is?
It wasn't a surprise to me. I kind of tooted that kid's horn all through the summer. He played right here in the upstate high school, severely undervalued as a recruit coming out of high school. I thought he was a guy that was dynamic, and I thought he was going to have opportunities, and he took full advantage of them when he got them. And he played most of the year beat up and banged up. So I think you're really just starting to scratch the surface. It's going to be interesting to see how they try to get Brown and Antonio Williams on the field at the same time, because you need both those guys out there, and they're both kind of slot guys. And you know, they didn't really have that issue last year with Antonio being hurt most of the season, and Tyler Brown kind of filled that void. But it'll be interesting to see how they approach that this year, because I think you got to have both those guys on the field at points. I'm not saying every play, but at some point they're going to have to both be on the field at the same time, because they're 2 of your best receivers.
So do you consider these new guys, Wesco in particular, to be needed? Or if they bring the same wide receiver core minus Bo Collins to game 1 against Georgia, and that's all it is for the entire season, thinking that these guys should improve a little bit, but they only have the potential that they have, that's not going to be the kind of receiver group that people are looking for?
Yeah, I think both those guys are needed. Again, I think Clemson's really lacked explosiveness in the passing game, and part of that, you can put part of that on the pass protection, and part of that maybe on the quarterback and his inexperience. But at least part of that is not having, a true boundary, a true threat out there at the boundary. Bo Collins kind of is what he is. I'm not sure he kind of fits that mold of what I see a true boundary receiver to be. Maybe he's, you know, would have been more successful in a different role, but he's not that alpha, wide receiver that we've seen Clemson have, and during that playoff run in some of those years. And I think both these guys, have the ability to be that, particularly TJ Moore, who doesn't get here till the summer. Wesco got a lot of the publicity and a lot of the attention. He was the 5-star for so long. And, ironically enough, when the final rankings come out, Wesco gets dinged for whatever reason, and Moore's now a 5-star by all the services. He wasn't a 5-star by any until that last update. But, both of these are really good players. And I think they're going to both help Clemson big time this year.
Got Jason Priester here, allclemsontigers.com, football, baseball, basketball, all your Clemson needs. Track Jason over there. And of course, we've got to include the tight ends in the passing game. And that means Jake Brenningstool, first and foremost. He caught 50 balls last year.
Yeah, I thought Jake, improved markedly from the beginning of the season to the end. I thought he improved in all aspects of his game. Route running got better, even his blocking got better. He rarely drops past. I think he's had 3 drops in his entire career. So if you put it on him, he's going to catch it. I think he can be a big part of this offense this year. He's a big, tall guy. He's a great target in the red zone at 6'7". You're going to have a lot of options in that passing game this year. I think more so than you've had. And last year, year before last, year before that. And I think Brenningstool is going to be a big part of that. The only question is at tight end is how it shakes out behind him. We saw a little bit of Olsen Pat Henry last year. Got a couple of glimpses of what they think he can be. I think he can be a really good player once he gets developed. So we'll see how the depth chart shakes out behind him. They got a really good freshman coming in, but he doesn't get here until the summer, Christian Betancourt, who's really athletic and dynamic. Probably, with Clemson's depth at tight end, he might be looking at a red shirt, but a name to know for the future.